You know, I'm proud to say that I've had a really distinguished career. Been very fortunate to work with amazing artists such as Aerosmith, Ozzy Osbourne and the Osbournes, Shakira, Rascal Flatts, Olivia Newton-John, Ringo Starr, Ricky Martin, Sting, the Rolling Stones, Bryan Adams, Elton John. So many amazing artists. I've been so fortunate. I am David Frangioni, the host of Your Rockstar Business. Your Rockstar Business, experientially based learning on anything to do with entertainment, business, or both. So my career as a music technologist, as an entrepreneur, as an engineer, as a guy who started and successfully run companies in the music and music technology business, that information and experience is now available for you in real time. We're going to answer questions. If you want to know the road ahead, you ask those who have been coming back. Well, I've been back and forth that road so many times. Now I'm here to help you on your journey. So please tune into Your Rockstar Business on Grant Cardone TV. I'm David Frangioni. Tune in.
Whoa. Look at him go. Look at him go.
Yeah, man. Welcome, everybody. I'm David Frangioni. This is Your Rockstar Business. Your Rockstar Business. We're here for you. I'm here today with my main man on Grant Cardone TV, Robert Sislo, my producer.
Hey, what's up?
Hola.
Aloha and hola.
Not Hawaiian, Spanish. Anyway, it's all good. So welcome, everybody. It's good to have you here. The show exists for you. It's all about you. And as such, we take live questions from all over the world. We get so many great ones. And, you know, Robert, what have you got, man? How's your week been, by the way?
My week has been awesome. It's been busy. It's been productive. I've been creating. And I've
Sounds
been
like every week.
Yeah, every single week. Yeah, exactly.
Love it. You been traveling?
Not this week. Nope. Last week I was in Atlanta. Yeah, I was in Atlanta last week. So, but I'm here. I'm here. I've been here.
Awesome.
Hustling.
So we got lots of good questions today. It looks like from the
first
stream
question
coming in. So we're live, everybody. So you got questions, we got answers.
Yeah. So the first question that I have is, what was the biggest hurdle from playing in like a garage band to getting up to be a superstar?
Well, I mean, I've seen those hurdles. I mean, my hurdle was going from garage bands to starting businesses and having a career in music, not as a performer, though, as a behind-the-scenes guy. I still play the drums to this day, but that's really not how, that's not my living, you know, like I'm not a guy playing with bands, so to speak, day to day. But I work for a lot of those guys, and I've seen that. So my perspective on the garage band to the big stage is based from the business side. And, you know, that's not one step, okay? Even though, you know, how many times have you heard somebody say who's really famous, how many times have you heard them say, I'm a 20-year overnight success. I'm an 8-year overnight success. Because what they're saying is there's so much hustling and hard work and foundation building that goes on before anybody really hears about you, or certainly on a national or worldwide level. So, when the world finally hears from you, it's not like you were in the garage yesterday and today, you were on VH1 or the Tonight Show or whatever. So there's a lot of steps in between. So what you have to do is you have to assess where you are in your career and what your next step needs to be, and then the end zone of where you want to go. And then you put together the steps, because here's the thing. There is no way for anyone to tell themselves or anyone else exactly what the steps are going to be. It's impossible. You can plan the next step, but you can say, I want to have these be my steps from 1 through 10. Let's say 1 is where you're starting today and 10 is where you want to be when you've accomplished your goal. You can say, okay, step 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. But only be really, sure of the next step, because where people get off track is when they they think it should look a certain way and it doesn't, and they get distracted by that.
So you're saying stay persistent.
I'm saying stay persistent, but I'm also saying something even deeper and bigger than that, which is don't get attached to certain things having to happen on how you get there, right? So like, well, it's got to happen this way. There's 100 different ways things can happen, and they always say, there's my plan, there's your plan, there's God's plan. God's plan always wins. It's saying, regardless, it's not a religious statement. It's a statement of that the universe and the whole world that we see and can't see, there's a plan for how everything works out, and it's not one that any of us can control. I remember a great man said to me once, tomorrow is promised to no one. And it's true, like we don't even really truly know, who's going to be alive tomorrow and what's going to happen tomorrow. But of course you plan for it and you expect that you're going to be alive and healthy and, you're going to be as well tomorrow as you are today or even better. So you plan for it and you take steps. But past a certain point, you have goals, but you don't necessarily know exactly how it's going to work out. So Robert, what am I saying? I'm saying follow the signs, okay? If this is your goal and this is where you're starting, don't be attached that it has to look like this or it has to look like this. Or it's like if it starts to go and then zig and zag and all kinds of different things start happening, as long as you see that your goal's coming and you're within integrity, follow the signs and follow what it is that's getting you there, even if you're not sure why certain things are happening. I always said, like, when I look back on my career, if I had known some of the things I was going to have to go through, I would have been going through prior to starting, I might not have chosen it. I might have said, that's going to be so much sacrifice and so much hard work and so much traveling that I don't know if I want it. But by staying persistent, as you said, Robert, and by staying focused, coupled with staying with the goal as the main result, I was able to persevere through things and follow certain signs that I got where I wanted to go ultimately. And when I looked back, I went, wow, that didn't look really like I thought it was going to look. Like the plan at step one looked like very different than the plan that got me to step 10 when it was all said and done. That's kind of a lengthy explanation, but does it make sense?
So follow the signs. Don't lose sight of where you're going. Keep things focused.
Right.
Don't give up when things get tough. Just keep going all the way through. That's
right.
awesome.
And don't be attached to
don't
looking a certain way.
Yeah.
Be open and flexible as long as you're within integrity and as long as you see that you're going forward towards your goal. That's the key. I'm not talking about going sideways. I'm saying always stay focused that I just made another step towards my goal, even though I didn't totally expect it to look like that.
So we're going to squeeze another one in before we go to break here. But, everybody wants to get noticed. And the music industry, much like anything else, there's a lot of competition and stuff out there. So how does somebody who's starting get noticed? Like if they know they've got great content, what can they do to get in front of people and be like, hey, I'm the real deal?
Well, that's a vast question with so many different answers, depending on, it's very circumstantial to what style of music and many other things. But if we're trying to generally answer that, first of all, I always say be true to yourself, right? So like know that every step you're taking is not just to get noticed. If you have an opportunity to get noticed, take it. But, people see sensationalism and they think, okay, sensationalism automatically gets me noticed, so I'll do something crazy. Lady Gaga wore a dress made out of meat and like things that just get you massive headlines. But the fact is that when you look at even artists that are really eccentric, like a Lady Gaga or a Madonna, what is true to them is a different kind of vision and how they see things and how they think and how their creative mind works on a regular basis. And then the world has embraced that. That's why they're phenomenons, is that when they put their creativity out there, The world sees it as a little outlandish, but as outlandish that's good and that's attractive to a lot of fans. My point is that they're true to themselves. They're not just publicity stunts. They're that's their art.
They're authentic. They're who they are.
Yes, they're authentic and they just happen to be, very eccentric and authentic. So I think authenticity is really important, because sometimes I meet artists and they think, if I do something crazy, then I'll get the attention that I want. But the fact is, it won't last. It's you look at all the headlines that you see every day, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And for the most part, none of it lasts, and none of it really means a whole lot unless it has the depth of authenticity and something that's good for everyone and that brings good entertainment. So I think the best way to get noticed, in a nutshell, is be authentic, write great songs, be true to yourself, and find your niche. Find that in your genre. Like, what are you about? What style of music are you? And what are other people doing in that genre? What makes you different? What makes you better? If people have, if you're in the hard rock genre and you're like, okay, why would somebody listen to me instead of AC/DC? Well, maybe they've heard AC/DC enough already and it's time for something fresh. Maybe it's because your band, has a guitarist that sounds different than Angus Young. Or maybe it's because your singer does this or that. And you just kind of take note of, like, why is it that my band or my artistry should be heard? And, what is it that you believe in? What is it that you're about?
And express all that. You want to express all
that
through the authenticity.
Of it.
Yep, through the authenticity.
Yep.
And then getting out, like, how important is it to get out there in front of people? Like, obviously, you have to get noticed, right?
It's very important.
So you've got all these elements. Now the next step is, I need to get out there.
Well, yeah, you have to get out there. When you say get out there, first there's getting out there so that you actually learn how to perform and actually get good at the performance side of things, which is different than the singing and writing side of things, right? It's funny because in the early 70s, a lot of artists and bands, they write these great songs and they'd get out on the stage and they sit on a stool, like I'm sitting here, in this show, sitting on a stool, and they sing their song. And there really wasn't much of a difference between hearing them on the radio or on record or seeing them live. And it was just but things have changed so much. When people go to see you live, they expect to be entertained. They expect that the songs are going to have an energy, and your personality is going to be transmitted in such a way that it's an experience unto itself that's very different from listening to the music only from iTunes or wherever. So I know we got to cut to a break, so we have lots more questions and answers waiting for you all as soon as we come out the other side. I'm David Frangioni. You're watching Your Rockstar Business on Grant Cardone TV. Thanks for tuning in.
If you're interested in becoming an internet marketer, network marketer, internet entrepreneur, or business owner, pay attention to this offer. CPA, known as Cost Per Action, promotes offers to top companies via paid traffic platforms. Imagine positioning yourself as the dominant player in your industry all over the internet, with people seeking you out for job opportunities, your product, and your service, while increasing your income to over 6 figures in 9 months. The Millionaire Mastermind will show you how. Learn through us with step-by-step digital instructional programs, free weekly webinars, and 24/7 customer support. The Millionaire Mastermind is the go-to expert for all resources and training to thrive in this industry. And it all starts with our free 6 Figures to 9 Months webinar. Sign up for your free 6 Figures in 9 Months webinar at themillionairemastermind.com/6 figures. That's themillionairemastermind.com/6 figures.
and you can have everything you want in business and in life. New York Times best-selling author and international sales and business expert Grant Cardone is now releasing a never-before-seen recording of the Monterrey, Mexico Sell or Be Sold seminar. Thousands were in attendance for this event and paid over $800 per ticket, and we are releasing it to you today for only $199 as an on-demand video seminar. When you invest today, you also receive the ultimate Sell or Be Sold package, including the Axiom Gold Award-winning Sell or Be Sold hardcover book, the Sell or Be Sold MP3 with over 12 hours of content, the digital video quick read book for your on-the-go needs with access to 21 exclusive videos, the massive Sell or Be Sold course workbook to solidify your entrepreneurial growth, and the companion trainer's manual for the course workbook to help your team master the sales process. Get access right now at grantcardone.com/Sell or Be Sold. That's grantcardone.com/Sell or Be Sold.
Everybody, I'm David Frangioni. You're watching Your Rockstar Business on Grant Cardone TV. Thank you for tuning in. We're here for you. We're here to help you. Anything we can do to save you time and get you ahead is what we're all about. Robert Sislo, my producer, the man with the plan who can. Now, I'm not going to say hola, because then you're going to say aloha. I'm going to say aloha.
Hola. Hola. Hola.
I love this guy. So, Robert, we got questions pouring in from all over the world. Hit me with another one.
Yeah, this one came in
Por
from...
favor.
This one actually is interesting. It came from L.A.
Yep.
They want to know, did iTunes help or hurt the music industry?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, at the point at which it came out, it helped. I love CDs, but I love the convenience of iTunes. The thing that bothers me the most about iTunes is the resolution of the files. As an audiophile geek, I don't like the fact that they're, about at best, not even a quarter of the bandwidth and the quality of a CD file, a WAV file. So I'm a little bummed out by that, but the convenience, the way Steve Jobs saw the whole structure of, consuming music and movies and television and, having that integrate into your daily life with smart devices, and the whole thing is just so genius and so remarkable. There's no wonder why, nearly a quarter of the world uses these devices and partakes in all of the software. But as far as iTunes, it's unfortunately, the big problem isn't iTunes. The big problem is that the music business was late in the game of figuring out that consumers wanted music content virtually. And so it took a guy in Napster to basically steal all the music and put it out there and get people used to the convenience of it. Unfortunately, at the time, the way it went down, they got used to the convenience of it, but they also got used to something else that's really bad for everyone, which is that it's free. And so iTunes corrected that. So in that sense, iTunes is an absolute godsend. It's just the whole concept was too little too late, because it needed to happen much sooner. And iTunes was the saving grace of it all. But really the big guys in the music business, the Universals, the Sonys, the Warners, years prior to iTunes, they should have had a solution. It's well documented. This is pretty common knowledge at this point, like what a flub that was. And so here we are. We're in a virtual world where content is available almost instantly. You don't have to store physical media, and you don't have to wait for physical media to arrive to you or to go to a store to get it. It's just a whole nother world. And thank God for iTunes that people are paying for it now, so that there's an economy to it. Because when it's free, that's no good for anybody, really. Even the people getting it at no cost. I mean, ultimately you'll kill the art, because it has to be funded somehow. So that's kind of the short version of a very long story. But overall, iTunes is a good thing.
Awesome. They want to know, what's the best venue you ever played, went to, and who were you with?
Well, one of the most recent shows that I played at was the Little Dreams Foundation concert, December 6th of 2014 at the Fillmore, Miami Beach. It holds like 2,000, 2,200, somewhere in there. And so it's a nice, theater-sized venue. It's a great, very elegant venue. And that was a very memorable night for a lot of reasons, but that was one of my favorite shows, I have to say, as far as playing a live concert. It's a charity event. The crowd was amazing. There were multiple artists performing that night. Richard Marx was performing, Alejandro Guzman, Laura Pausini, Gigi D'Alessio. It was, a really special night.
It's awesome. So what would be, if they want to know, this is coming in from New York, what are some of the biggest challenges with working with some of these big name artists that you've encountered, or anybody that's trying to get into the industry? What kind of things can they expect?
Well, you have to be prepared. It's easy to say that, and you hear it all the time. It's like preparation plus hard work equals opportunity or equals luck. That's a very easy thing to say. I mean, no different than you can say, well, how do I get a body that's as muscular as Sylvester Stallone? Well, eat right and exercise. I mean, it's easy to say. What people leave out is that, the 10 hours a day that somebody's working out if they want a body like Sylvester Stallone's, or the diet choices they make 24/7, and they do it for years on end, and then they see this great result. I mean, yeah, it's eat right and exercise, but there's so much more to it. It's the same thing with anything you want to be good at. Like, you do need to prepare, but preparing, requires a lot of thought, and it requires very deliberate action. And then in your preparation, you have to work hard, because only through repetition and through experience are you going to get good at anything. And then when those two collide, they will equal opportunity. I've said it a million times on this show. I've said it a million times outside of this show. I've been successful and I am successful coming from the background of somebody who has no money, who has parents that, my dad was a meat cutter, a butcher. My mom was a legal secretary that handed out lunches at the local cafeteria of the school. I mean, we're talking about, no monetary or professional opportunity to get me started. It was all just drive and vision and hard work and preparation, so that every chance that I was able to come across, whether I created it or whether I got a phone call or got a referral or just something that came my way, I was ready. And that's how you get to work with the bigger artists, is that they see that you do a great job, they see that you're reliable, they see that you care, and that's the kind of person that they want working with them. And then if you work hard from that point, then you find yourself getting more and more referrals and more people. At that point, those people are already famous, because a lot of famous people talk to other famous people. And that's really how I've been able to build up the resume that I have, is that, one successful artist will tell another, and you get referrals from there. But it all starts with the hard work and the preparation. One without the other even is not going to get you as far as you really want to go. If you're talking about working with big artists, short of some miracle and some really super lucky thing to happen, which you can never count on, and it's 1 in a billion. Short of that, it's very deliberate, and it's very much about doing the work, preparing, having a goal, thinking about what is it that I want. When I first started out, I wanted to be the world's greatest drummer. Then by the time I was 16, and I already been playing the drums in clubs and local places, I realized that I wanted to be the world's greatest technologist. And I wasn't going to give up on the drums, but I made a very deliberate career choice to be in technology and to be in business. They actually happened simultaneous. But they were very different career choices, even though they were heavily related and they were in the same field and there was a lot of cross-pollination. They were very different choices than, I'm going to be the world's greatest drummer and I'm going to go try to audition for a band and that's going to be how I make a living. I changed course because in my heart and in my passion, that's really what I wanted to do. And I had a very clear goal of, this is what I want. And then I figured out how to get there and, just never stop working at it. And I still don't stop working at it. To this day, it's still hard work, all day, every day.
All day, every day.
You know
it. So, okay, so you got a guy, you got a group, you got people that they've been persistent, they know where they want to go, they got a unique look, they got a unique feel, music, everything's there. How do
Okay, deal.
Done. How do they sell it? How do you sell it?
Well, you got to start with if it's really all there, right? And so rarely is it all there. People think it is, but it isn't. But let's say it is, and it's all ready to go. If you're already mentored and worked out, and it's just the package is just like ready to be delivered, you have got to get really strong business people on your side. Because the business side of the music business and your rock star business, the business in that is a very, what we'll call business to business. You hear that all the time, B2B, business to business. It means that someone in the business is talking to someone else in the business. And what a lot of artists, it takes them a while to realize is that they're not in the music business right now, right? They want to be, and they have all the credentials being built up and all the artistry and all the talent and the whole package as you've described and the experience and all these different things, but they're not in the music business. So you've got to have someone who's working with you who is in the music business and has relationships in the business and talks to people business to business. And that's really the biggest mistake a lot of people make, is that they think that they can go from YouTube to being really famous and having a big audience. You can't bypass steps because it just doesn't work that way. It's like
Bypass steps meaning it's a gradual.
Yeah, I mean, a plane takes off from the ground. It doesn't go from 0 to 35,000 feet in the blink of an eye. I mean, it ascends, and even if it moves quickly, it still has to go through 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, now we're at 10,000 feet, now we're at 10,000, 2, 3. Even if it's rapid and you blink and you're at another 1,000 feet, it's still got to move through every foot to get from, the ground to 35,000. So it's the same kind of thing. I mean, you're somewhere right now. You might have all of this local momentum. You might have this whole package ready. The band might be tearing it up, or the artist is tearing it up where they are, and they think they have great songs. So now you need somebody who can fly with that and who can start doing the deals and doing the business-to-business stuff that will, put kind of a machine together, because artists that are known nationally or internationally, they have some form of machine behind them. It looks like just cool artists. You see, a cool rock band out there, and you see the Black Keys, you see, the Foo Fighters or whoever, and it just looks like this really cool band. But there are all these, machine-like things going on in the background that are keeping that band's, schedule together, their career moves, their business side, their accounting, their publishing, their social media collateral. It's a whole machine that runs, and so you got to get plugged into that and then build from there to the highest level that you can achieve. Does that make sense, Mr. Sislo?
It makes complete sense. I like that. I like the ascension. It's the process. It's the push.
Yep.
It's very, very good.
Yep, and it's necessary, which is the key.
Yeah, because you grow along the way.
Pardon?
You grow along the way.
You do. That's a great point. And it's true. And that growth is a really important part of you as a person and your career. Quincy Jones was quoted as saying once, you will never be bigger in your career than you are as a person. Meaning you work on yourself as a person first, and a lot of the career things you want will occur because it all starts inside. And so that growth is actually a really important part of how successful you'll be.
Excellent, excellent. This question is, how do I write a song? Like with the process, should I start with lyrics first and then create the music, or should I start with music first and then write the lyrics?
Well, a song has to have music or it's a poem, right? So, I think that either one, whatever works for you, but just always be conscious of the message that you have. And if you're a poet and you're writing great lyrics, find somebody who you feel is the musical equivalent of what you're about, what your art is about, how you envision it. One of the most, you got Lennon McCartney, you got Bernie Taupin and Elton John. Bernie wrote the lyrics, Elton wrote the music. It was just profound how that worked. And you take one without the other and it's just nowhere close to the same result. So, you really have to, find either, if you can't do it all yourself, which very few people can, you find a great collaborator and find somebody who it's more important to find someone that is synchronized with you and that really gets what's in your head and in your heart without having to explain a lot of it. It's more important to find that than somebody who's super technically proficient. A lot of times people work with an artist, let's say a person that writes lyrics, finds someone who plays piano, and the piano player is a great piano player, and they're working on stuff, and they're just like, wow, it just doesn't come out right. Like the guy plays great, but it just doesn't come out the way that I want it. And the reason for that is because you could find somebody who only knows a couple of notes on the piano, but if they can really tune into what you're about and how those lyrics are going to come to musical life, that's going to be the person that you want to collaborate with. That's going to get your art, get your art from the heart. I didn't mean to be a poet, and I didn't know it.
It worked.
It just worked.
Just flowed off the tongue.
It's funny how that happens.
So good.
You want to get your art from your heart onto a recording and something that's very tangibly representative of your music.
Great response. So we've got time for one more question, and
only one more.
Yeah, only one more.
We've been on
for 35 minutes.
Thank you.
35 minutes already. Remember we talked about that last week? Just time flies.
No, it feels like a minute. It's amazing.
Right?
But
so,
that's what happens when you're helping people, and we love it.
You've worked with some pretty big name people, and at the end of the day, I guess your experience would say that they are just normal people, but a bit eccentric in their own way. But they want to know.
That would be a creative use of normal, but
you
okay.
Like that? You like that?
With all due respect.
You like that? So they want to know, how does one handle stage fright, and have you seen any of these other guys have moments with that, and how'd they overcome it?
Well, I've seen it not be overcome, and disaster occurs, and the person, the show doesn't even happen. So there's all kinds of extremes to it. Stage fright is something that you have to work on. And one of the key things is so obvious, but I'll say it anyway because it's important, and I can tell you it is a fact. You've got to go out and be on stage. There is a certain amount of stage fright that automatically gets eliminated just through the repetition of being on stage. It really does. It's like, I remember years ago when I crossed a certain threshold inside of myself and my own feelings of going on stage, from always being scared walking on stage to not being scared walking on stage. And there really was like a moment where you just settle in and you're excited. Like it's not that you don't have incredible energy and enthusiasm towards it. It's just that the fear is being channeled into that. Because let's face it, no matter who you are, it's not natural for somebody to sit on a stage and all of these people applaud and look and analyze and like whatever else is going on in the audience's minds. It's not very natural. It's natural for us to sit there and watch it, but it's not natural to be on the stage being the star. But as it becomes more natural, and as you grow from it being totally unnatural, which is what causes the stage fright, to all of a sudden being much more natural, the fear gets channeled. So it's still there, but it's channeled into really good energy, and it doesn't detract from your focus, and it doesn't make you kind of undermine yourself. Because that's what happens when you have extreme stage fright, is that you start making mistakes that you wouldn't normally make because you're overthinking it, or you're thinking about something that has nothing to do with playing the songs, and it doesn't work, right? So, and then that feeds other bad things, and it just becomes like dominoes falling. So you want the dominoes to fall in your favor. And so what you do is you have to get out on the stage. You have to overcome it by doing it. People always say, how do I learn to swim? I say, jump in the water. They look at me like I'm crazy, like I'll drown. Well, no, don't jump in, a 1,000-foot ocean to start with, but you got to jump in the water. So start with 4 or 5 feet. But I'm telling you, you can't do it on a chalkboard. It's the same thing with stage fright. You can't do it out of a book. You can read all the books you want. You can watch all the concerts you want. You can learn from the greats on stage, but you have to actually get out there because your total adrenaline changes once you walk out on that stage, it's the darndest thing. Like, no matter how much you think about it, no matter how many times you do like a walkthrough before the audience gets there and you're on the stage and you kind of role playing it through, it's just not the same as when the moment occurs. You got to experience those moments over and over and over again, and then eventually you will start to overcome the stage fright. And then if there's still stage fright, you got to hone in on exactly what it is that's causing it. And then at that point, with the experience behind you and inside of you, you'll be able to figure out like what that last shift is, if there still is one. But most people, it goes away just through, kind of a subconscious confidence that occurs because I've done it X amount of times. I mean, I played in a 10-year span well over 1,000 gigs. And they weren't big gigs, maybe a couple hundred people or whatever. They were relatively small club gigs in my youth. But just from doing it over and over and over and being in front of an audience, it just really paid dividends. Make sense?
Makes sense.
Robert Cicillo, my producer, he's
Frangioni.
cueing me saying we got lots more questions, but no more time to answer them until next week, when you can join us here every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on Grant Cardone TV. He's Robert Cicillo, an amazing person and producer and someone who has his own amazing following, and for good reason. I'm David Frangioni, grateful for you tuning in today. You're watching Your Rockstar Business. We'll see you next time.